How's it going, BFDers? And welcome to another episode of Boo! Frightening, dude. Welcome back to the channel. It is October and it has been a few weeks since we made a video, and that's okay. But we're coming back in, shooting guns blazing, and with a special little series for October called Halloween Horror Hoedown. And what we're going to be doing this month is taking a look at some forgotten or underrated Halloween horror flicks. And today we have a special episode with a buddy who does not have a film degree.
Not yet.
And that would be Avery. If you remember the July 4th episode where we cooked and did a horrible job, yeah, he filmed that. That was his camera work, so you're a little bit familiar. But Avery, what did we watch today? What are we going to be talking about today?
I think it's called The Terror. Actually, I don't know what it's called.
The Terror of Hallows Eve from 2017. And it's only an hour and 20 minutes long, and it feels a little bit longer than that. Just to give you a quick little rundown of The Terror of All Hallows Eve, it takes place in 1981, the October 31st, 1981, and we follow this guy, this kid named Timmy, Tim. Don't call him Timmy, okay? And he's like this scrawny little horror kid who likes, I mean, you know him. His mom's a hard-working gal, and so he's, as his mom would say, a latchkey kid. And as the movie goes on, he goes to this little place and he gets bullied, and then he's like, I hate these guys. I wish I scared them to death. And he finds a little pumpkin, and so that's what he does. He scares them to death. The trickster comes out and he's like, Dobby is a free elf. And then they all die. And I think we're led to believe that he did kill them all. Would you say that?
I definitely think that's what happened.
Is that he killed them all?
I mean, all of them except Tim. I don't know, man. Well, technically, the other things killed those guys, which I think we were led to believe Tim was controlling those things.
Well, but I guess that's true, because I'm wondering if it was all a delusion, considering at the end, he was like, I love you, Mom, I love you, but he had the knife, and he had it in his hand, which he could have just put down. If he truly was like, no, it's not me, he could have just put the knife down and walked away, but he walked up to her and was like, you know, I love you, Mom, and then killed her. But what are your initial impressions? What did you think right out the gate when the film ended? What did you walk away? How were you feeling?
I think my exact thoughts were, oh, that was okay. I did not feel that there was any real time spent with like any kind of deeper motivation other than the only part of the movie that I thought was like genuinely kind of a well done emotional beat and or callback was like the setup with the dad backstory, and then when the dad comes back, I definitely thought the movie went on for about 20 minutes too long. Just generally, I think that this was kind of a I want money, give me money for making cheap Halloween movie kind of movie.
I actually thought this wasn't too bad. I enjoyed this a little bit. There was a lot of practical, like puppets, basically.
It felt a lot like a Goosebumps episode.
I think that's very true. I think that's very true. It was sort of very cheesy, very melodramatic, some weird writing. There's one line near the beginning where the mom is talking to her son, to Tim. What does she say?
I know how talented that you are.
But that line, there's lines like that all throughout the film where in my mind I'm like, why did you think that sounded the best? So I think that is a symptom of the goosebumpsness that you're talking about.
It felt like a really long Goosebumps episode. I'll say that there were a lot of parts that I liked, but I do not know if they made a great whole. Do you know what I mean?
So the flashback, they walk in from trick-or-treating, and they walk in the house, and it seems like they're having a good time. And the dad, who looks like Mark Wahlberg, I'm pretty sure it isn't, but I don't know if it's not. But he comes in, and he immediately has like this nice glass bottle of whiskey. Takes a drink. Mom's like, hey, Bobby, come over here and let's talk. Or something like that, yeah? And so he picks up his jacket, and out falls a little bag of sugar. Yeah. And then the mom, and then Timmy, because he's a child, picks it up and is like, I'm gonna eat this. And the mom's like, here, no, have this. And then they go to the kitchen and they start like fighting. And so I think too what you're saying, it's a very typical, like, that's the story, right? Single mom, abusive dad, out of the picture. Now he's got trauma from that. So I do think that what you're saying about it being very generic, just in pretty much everything, is accurate. Except for, this was made in 2017, okay? So we've got CGI, we've got all this stuff. Pretty much all of the horror elements are practical. There are a bunch of different puppets. All the puppets look pretty good.
Out of the whole haunted house sequence, I think the puppet section was the best sequence.
Oh yeah. But I'm even talking about the giant spider creature.
Also,
at the end.
Oh, that too. Also, I googled it, and it's not Mark Wahlberg. It is Christian Kane, who just looks a lot like Mark Wahlberg.
We thought it would be really funny if at the end of the film, when he's in the insane asylum, it was just Mark Wahlberg again. Like Timmy grew up to look exactly like his dad. Now, I do want to note that there are several times in this film where there are some very quaint moments. I think in between the beginning of the film and up to when he gets the pumpkin, I think all the interactions with him and his mom are sitting in the emotion. They're taking their time. They're slowing down. There's a lot of solitude and solemnity in them that I think even big budget films even big budget films cannot accomplish. So I was very impressed that this film was able to do that.
I'll agree with that. There was some really strong stuff during the beginning. However, I just feel like after they got to the action horror stuff, they said, all right, horror time, baby. And they kind of just threw out all the threads after that. Except for the dad.
I want to talk about the three gooners in the film. There was the jock, the fat guy, and the stoner. Tim and Linda go to this convenience store, and there's this chick April. While they're there, his mom's like, "Oh my gosh, April, it's you. How are you doing?" And Tim's over in the corner just like, and his mom's like, Timmy, say hello to April. And Timmy's like, don't call me Timmy. And he looks at her. He looks at April. And out of nowhere,
I just died in your arms tonight. It must have been something you said. It was like that.
Exactly. And there's like this glamour shot, and she's wearing lingerie. And this, I don't know, Timmy has not been seen. And we're what? 10, 15 minutes in the film. Timmy has not been described like this at all.
He hasn't
Very
been
out of place.
barely characterized.
And so that's also true. So he was super perverted in his mind. Like, yeah. Hold on now. But I wonder, so there's that.
Maybe he was looking at a dirty magazine.
Well, he was looking at a horror magazine. Okay, we're gonna get back to that, but maybe that, and then later, when he is fighting the Gooners, he thinks about punching Brian and beating him up, but he doesn't. And so in film, there's a rule of threes.
He's delusional.
And so maybe those two things were setting up that he is, in fact, delusional and, like, schizophrenic. Because in the end, the doctor's like, schizophrenia patients, especially on Halloween. Dang. We just cracked the code. Anyway, back to the convenience store. So he walks outside after April's like, "Oh, I think you're super cool." He's like, "Oh, she hates me, Bob." And then so he walks outside and he gets in his car, or he gets in the family car, and he accidentally hits the Goon Squad car, and they're like, and then this happens, which I thought was pretty funny. For reference, Avery, I'm gonna play the clip where I said "oh shit," then he said "oh shit," then he said "oh shit."
Yeah.
So everybody's saying "oh shit," okay, and they start beating him up, and his mom comes out and is like, "Stop beating up my kid." And after this is Halloween, and so his mom's like, I forgot to get milk. And what else did she say? She said milk and something else, and he only got milk.
No, she said you can get your magazine that you were looking at.
Oh, that's right. So she hands him like $3, and he will not look her in the eye after he got done yelling at her about how he's a man. He can't even look her in the eye. And this old lady comes by. Maybe he's just a bitch. But some old lady comes by with some hand-me-downs, and the mom's like, "Oh, we'll go outside." And she says to this lady, she's like, I don't want my son to see this. I'm working real hard. His dad left because he's an abusive jerk. And the whole time that she's doing this, Timmy is in the window watching and sees all this, and then she starts crying and then they leave. So he goes back to the convenience store, and April, who I don't know if this is the case or not, maybe I'm just stupid, but he looks a lot younger, and she and the implication is that they are the same age. But she's like 6 inches taller, looks like a woman, and she is basically rizzing Tim up. She's like, "I think you're super talented and stuff. Yeah, I bet you're even more talented." And he goes outside and he's like, "Oh, thanks, yeah." There's a spider. He goes back outside, Goon Squad's there. They beat him up, and he gets beat up, and then he finds a pumpkin. And you saw this, Avery, that I didn't realize.
That the trickster was holding on to the pumpkin.
So he picks up this pumpkin that the trickster, who is Dobby, picks up, and he goes, and when he gets home, he starts monologuing like a crazy person. And he's saying like, these people, they're such jerks, and April thinks that Brian isn't a bad guy, but he obviously is, and this is just another generic film trope, like Avery said. And he's carving it up, and as he's digging out the innards, it looks like a plastic pumpkin. Did you think that, or was that just me?
I mean, I don't know. It didn't look very real to me, but it didn't look like a plastic one either. It kind of looked like it was something else. But also, again, the whole movie is so dark. There were times it was just hard to see things. I was more focused on the monologue, to be honest.
Yeah, and Timmy literally is. I mean, this moment, he's becoming a villain. He is turning to the dark side.
Yeah.
Which somebody says at some point, they're like, anger leads to hate. Hate leads to fear. Fear leads to gooning. And gooning leads to the dark side.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Which
is why Brian...
words were oh, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, probably. And so he does that, and the trickster shows up. And then the rest of the film happens. So they're in the horror house, which that's what the trickster does, brings them into the house, and it's almost like each of them, the thing that kills them is their vice. So there's Brian, who walks in, and he sees this like super hot chick in lingerie, and she's like, "Come here, Brian. Let me sex you, Brian." Who did you think that was, April or Linda, or just somebody random?
I couldn't tell, man. It kind of looked like Linda, but I couldn't really tell.
So Brian has to he gets his throat cut by some hot chick. And then the fat guy, like you said, Avery, he goes into these woods, and very Evil Dead-esque. And he finds a pie. And the whole film, he's just eating a bag of like clearly branded kettle chips. They're good chips, okay? They're like sea salt and vinegar, good chips. But he picks up, it's like a pumpkin pie in the middle of the woods. And in my mind, I'm not eating that. Are you eating that? Are you touching it? Are you chowing down?
I think the very first thing I said when that scene came on was, "Oh, don't eat the food. Don't eat the food."
Exactly. It reminded me of Scooby-Doo 1 when they're in that haunted house. But he picks up the knife and fork and throws them aside and just starts digging in. And then he looks up and he sees like this orc thing that, and then he looks back down and it's a bunch of worms. And that's when that starts to chase, and he's running and he's throwing up, and then some tree spirit thing knocks him down. And Avery, you had to look away for this. Did you see any of
gross. I did see it, but the tree spirit thing, he had like the fork and knife that he threw away from earlier, and then he just started carving into him and eating them.
The other guy, the stoner, I wasn't super sure what the vice was there. And I think he's the only one that really...
I think I know.
Okay.
So in his thing, he takes the joint from that Jack in the Box, and then he's just getting super high and he's watching the puppet sword fight and stuff. And I think that's representative of him not contributing to the violence that we see earlier in the movie, but he's just there and he goes along with it. He encourages it and enjoys being around it despite not being the one to instigate or be involved with it, while the other two guys are actively like physically like messing with Tim. And I think that's to show that like I think that's connected, you know?
Yeah, okay. So he's watching a puppet show and he's like, "All right, that suck." And then all the puppets like unpuppet themselves and kill him. And then the end of it, basically, the trickster says April, and the scene, he's sitting there and he's like, and his eyes he's glazed over, like he's out of it. Okay, he's cooked, as the young ones say. The trickster's April. He's like, oh, stat, gotta save April. He goes to save April. And then that's when the trickster's like, oh, you don't want to kill them? Okay, well, we're not friends anymore. And he takes a step, like his eyes get a little bit bigger. And he steps back into the shadows. And his body starts changing. He's supposed to be that creature, would you think, right?
I would say so, yeah.
So he turns into probably this giant, like, spider creature thing that's haunting them. And so they're trying to escape, and they discover, oh, it's the tallowed wick. We need to get that. The book. The book. So they go up to the basement, and April is like, what's a wick? Tim's like, it's a thing in a candle. And then she goes, what's a gourd? And then Tim goes, it's a pumpkin. So, I think the implication here is that Tim also finds April attractive. But if I'm being honest, she's stupid. Which he says she's stupid if she doesn't see that Brian's a piece of shit, and she's right, and he's right. She is stupid. So I'm not saying what's up anyway. I'm not into that.
And then after all of that, the mom comes in, and no. What happens is, she doesn't get it figured out. He's like, we gotta destroy the pumpkin, right?
Yes.
And that leads into the only good scene, only like standout scene to me in the movie, where he goes and he's ready to destroy the pumpkin and get rid of the trickster, and then his dad shows up. Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, his dad, Mark Wahlberg, shows up again. And he's like, Tim, why don't you be a man and let me kill all these people? I'm disappointed in you. And so he's like, you're right, Dad, I'm sorry, I want to be just like you. And he hands Tim, or he hands Bobby, whatever his name is, the pumpkin, and he's like, psych, hits it out of his hand. Which and so this is interesting too. He overcomes the trauma, I guess, in his heart. So what is supposedly plaguing him in the film is his dad being abusive or not being around. So he overcomes that, and he still loses.
I was gonna say, but I do think that makes for probably the best scene in the film.
It's probably the best one, right? So he goes into his room, and I guess April has been trying to climb out the window because she's halfway out.
Oh wait, she's like, you really are my hero, Tim.
Which is crazy, because he's the one that caused all of this. He's the one that killed these 3 other people. But she says that, and then the window comes down with such force that it breaks her spine and like cuts into her.
Glass shatters and stabs her through. And you and me were like, I don't think that would have happened.
Chat, if you think that would happen, type it in the chat.
Is this real? Is this real, chat?
Is this real, chat? So he sits down and he sees there's another pumpkin.
The other pumpkin.
And he tries to go Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
But instead, he just passes out.
He gets so angry he blacks out.
And then he wakes up and kills his mom.
Yeah.
And so all of it was probably a delusion.
And he has the knife and he can't get rid of it.
What's the message here? That some people are schizophrenic?
Maybe it's don't get bullied?
Or maybe it's don't bully, maybe?
I don't know.
Because if you bully, you're gonna die?
That feels like a strong message, because April didn't bully at all and she died. Ooh, wait. Maybe the message is don't stand by and watch it happen, because the other bully who's just there and smokes weed gets killed anyway, even though he doesn't super actively engage. April gets killed for just associating with the bully.
So the theme of the film is just push everything down and repress your trauma.
Yeah, I think it might just be revenge bad. Continue to let it if something bad is happening to you, continue to let it happen, I think.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Because if you step out of line, you're going to die too. Because the mom is the only one that he outright kills.
And she's the only one who did anything to help him the whole movie. The message might be, don't help other people. Actually, wait. I think the message is, don't have a son.
Which, if you know about Tommy Taffy, then you know that you shouldn't have a son. Or children, at all, for that matter.
Shout out to our boys in Creepcast.
Hit us up if you want to collab, Creepcast. Appreciate it. Okay, well, all that said, how many Halloweens do you give this?
I'll give this, like, 6 Halloweens out of 31. No, I'm just kidding. I'll probably give it, like, 20 out of 31.
That's still, I mean, that's not bad. I was thinking 17 out of 26 is what I was thinking.
There's 31 Halloweens in a Halloween.
Yeah, but not on my calendar. There's 26.
Okay, well, isn't 17 out of 26 pretty much just 20 out of 31?
I'm sure it's close. But anyway, that's how many Halloweens I give this. I know this was a bit unorthodox.
Oh, I was going to say, just go back and look at the Eternals review that BFD did. That's my score.
Well, BFDers, I know this was a bit different, a bit unorthodox. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you check out our merch below, link below. Check out the Letterboxd for all the reviews, the Instagram, and all that stuff. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe so that you can see when I upload, because there's no schedule anymore. But if more of you subscribe, that means the more I can do it, because the more money, and more money mean Wayne's World. If you know that,
Yeah.
then you understand. Okay.
More money,
comment.
more problems.
More money, more... Well, leave comments down below of what you would like to see us do next. And until next time, BFD out, I guess. What do you say, Avery? Yeah.